This is Ian Cameron for Pub Sports Radio, and I am back with another NHL Eastern Conference Play-In Series preview video. Today we're going to look at the Florida Panthers taking on the New York Islanders. As you can see on the ticker below at the bottom of the screen, the New York Islanders are currently around a minus 130 series favorite. Florida Panthers plus 110. Very fascinating matchup because these are two teams that their strength can't necessarily take advantage of the opposing team's weakness going into this series. That's the first thing that stands out. The Florida Panthers, by far, their strength is scoring goals. Their strength all season long has been their offensive upside and their forward depth, which is pretty impressive. When you look at Florida, a very solid top line with Alexander Barkov centering the top line alongside Evgeny Dodonov and Frank Vetrano, Jonathan Huberdeau, Eric Howlem, Mike Hoffman with a solid second line. They can get some scoring as well from Brett Connolly's line, which is the third line. And even Noel Acciari's had a good offensive season for the Florida Panthers, and he plays on the fourth line for this team. So this is a team with a lot of offensive depth. They're going against a New York Islanders team, though, that is very stingy defensively. It's the strength of their team. It's what the New York Islanders really hang their hat on in terms of being able to win hockey games. That's the way it's always been, to be honest, under head coach Barry Trotz. He employs teams that play with solid, fundamental defensive structure and discipline. You make safe plays, smart plays with the puck. You don't put the puck in a position that for that where it could risk getting turned over or giveaways. You don't see that often with the Islanders. So you've got the Florida strength being their ability to score, but the strength of the Islanders is their ability to keep the puck out of their own net. So it's a fascinating matchup there. And conversely, on the flip side, the New York Islanders' biggest weakness is consistent offense. Because when you look at the New York Islanders and their top six forwards, their top two lines, yeah, they have some pieces that are definitely good offensive players in terms of their skill, their talent, their ability, their playmaking, their vision, their ability to finish. When you talk about Matthew Barzal, you have to start there. The number one center for this Islanders team. Jordan Eberle, who's been solid, if not good at times for the Islanders in an offensive role. Anders Lee on that top line. Brock Nelson, Josh Bailey, Anthony Beauvillier have been good. The New York Islanders made a pretty solid move at the trade deadline, acquiring Jean-Gabriel Pageau from the Ottawa Senators. Two-way player. Excellent two-way player who's having a really good season. He's not only been tremendous offensively in terms of contributing on the scoreboard, but he's very good away from the puck. A good defensive forward, plays on the penalty kill, can play in all key situations for Barry Trotz's team, and that's the kind of guy that is going to help the New York Islanders for sure in this playoff run. And their fourth line, Matt Martin and Casey Cizikas have been stalwarts on that fourth line for the Islanders for years. They're finally healthy and intact, so that's going to help this team. And their bottom six forwards are really good defensively. So from a checking role, again, often you get the bottom forwards trying to play that defensive role against the top line of the other team. You've got some serious, strong, defensive-minded forwards in that bottom six for the New York Islanders that could pose trouble to Jonathan Huberdeau and Barkov and Dadonov and a lot of those top line players or top six forwards for the Florida Panthers in this series. So again, you've got the weakness, or you've got the Islanders' ability to defend and all four lines coming through against the Florida offense. But on the flip side, the offense is the concern for the New York Islanders. That's always where you worry when they lose games. It's often because they just don't get that key goal, and they don't score at that critical time when they really need it. And as good as those bottom six forwards that I just talked about for the Islanders are defensively, they sometimes don't give you that offensive punch consistently. Defense on the blue line has been pretty solid for the Islanders. Again, their defense is the strength. Offense, you're just worried, what are you going to get from them? Even their blue line outside of Johnny Boychuk and his big shot from the point, Scott Mayfield, Devon Taves, Adam Pelech, and Ryan Pulak, they're not necessarily guys that are going to, be big-time point producers from the blue line, from the back end for the New York Islanders. So, again, this is a team that sometimes struggles to score goals, but the Florida Panthers, on the flip side, they struggle to keep the puck out of their own net. They are not a good defensive team. In fact, they've made this 2014 playoff format by the skin of their teeth, really, in spite of their defensive shortcomings and their defensive struggles. That's not a deep blue line that the Florida Panthers have. You know, when you look at it, after Aaron Ekblad and Anton Strawman, who I like quite a bit, I like those two quite a bit, no question. Mike Matheson's solid, but Keith Yandel can be a liability in his own zone. Riley Stillman as well. Mackenzie Weegar, you know, if you attack him with speed, sometimes he's susceptible to that. And Sergei Bobrovsky, who was supposed to maybe mask some of these defensive concerns for Florida as the big prized acquisition to be their #1 goalie in the offseason, getting him from Columbus as a free agent, but it's not been a great year for Sergei Bobrovsky. He's really never fully settled in, never truly gotten comfortable in between the pipes at any point this season for the Florida Panthers. So this series is just, it's really tough for me from a handicapping standpoint and a betting standpoint to make a strong case for either side. I think the price is where it should be. I'll tell you what, it's tough to go against Barry Trotz in the postseason as a Stanley Cup champion. He almost always has his team in the playoffs. You know, the Islanders upset the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round last year, and then they got bounced by the Carolina Hurricanes in the second round the year before that. Of course, Barry Trotz takes the Washington Capitals all the way to a Stanley Cup championship. So Barry Trotz is known for having playoff success and at least winning a round. Not that Joel Quenneville's a stranger to the Stanley Cup playoffs. He is no stranger to it whatsoever. Years with Chicago, multiple Stanley Cups with the Chicago Blackhawks. So it's a very good coaching matchup between two veteran head coaches who have had plenty of success in the postseason over the last decade. Joel Quenneville for the Panthers, Barry Trotz for the New York Islanders. But I still give a slight edge to the better defensive team, and to me that's the New York Islanders. You could even nitpick and say that the Islanders' goaltending at times wasn't up to par this year, whether it was Semyon Varlamov or Thomas Greiss. You know, both of those guys had inconsistency at times, but they're just a more fundamentally sound defensive team, and in the playoffs, that could make the difference. It's not a strong opinion or a strong betting stance on my part, but I do lean a little to the New York Islanders to emerge with the series victory here at around -130. That would be the lean. I have not bet it yet. I probably won't. I'll look to bet this series game to game instead. And again, the Islanders have that blue line fully healthy now. Boychuk, Leddy, Adam Pelech, they're all hands are on deck. Everybody that was injured before the break, they're back and ready to go. Just think they're a little deeper on the blue line. And, you know, Florida's offense is good enough to win this series. They're dangerous in terms of what they can do up front offensively with scoring goals. But I do think there's enough of a defensive discrepancy between the two teams here that I would trust the Islanders a little bit more and lean to them to take care of business and win this series and advance in the NHL's resumption of play by getting past the Florida Panthers. I do like the Islanders a little bit here, small lean toward them, but more than anything, I'm looking to bet this series game to game. We'll see how these two teams match up. You know, first game, we'll see how it goes, and then maybe we'll make some game to game wagers with this particular series as it goes along. Same thing with the total in this. The game totals in this series is going to be very difficult. It's pretty much going to be a correlated though type of series. The New York Islanders are going to win games in this series. They're probably going to have to play lower scoring, tighter checking hockey. Hope to stay under the total, win those 2-1, 3-1 games. If you're Florida and they're going to win this series, then they're probably going to get their preferred style of play, a little bit more up and down the ice. You know, a little bit more of a track meet involved. So Florida probably correlates with over the total from a game-to-game standpoint in this series. And the New York Islanders, if they're going to have success, it's probably more of a correlation to the under, looking for them probably to have to keep things a little bit more lower scoring in this series. But that's my preview of the Panthers and the Islanders here for Pub Sports Radio. Thank you very much for tuning into my daily NHL videos here. And a reminder, check out pubsportsradio.com daily for great sports betting content and live shows on a regular basis. pubsportsradio.com. I'm Ian Cameron. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another NHL series preview video.